Okay, guys.
Israel Video Network.
We are live.
Welcome, Ellie. Welcome, Jonathan Bellows. Welcome.
Right. Josh, you can't say hi to everybody, okay?
I won't. Once you start talking, I'll shut up.
We're ready. We're starting.
Ruthie Leiberman there.
Ben, take a seat.
Ben
Okay,
Goldstein.
guys. This segment is really about 3,800 years, really 4,000 years of Jewish history in Hebron. I'm going to do something for you, which is a lot of fun. We're going to do 4,000 years in about 4 minutes. Are you ready?
Face that direction.
Okay, 4,000 years in about 4 minutes. Are you ready, guys?
Yes.
Do I have 4 minutes? Here we go.
Let's go.
Okay. 3,800 years ago, Abraham purchases this place right behind me, behind us, in order to bury his beloved wife Sarah. Guess what, Ruthie? This place is about romance. Okay, it's about loving your spouse, and it's actually about a family that was buried all together. So Abraham, 3,800 years, buys this place, buries his wife Sarah, and then who else is buried here? Abraham. Okay, that's the first couple. They give birth to Isaac. Isaac and Rebecca are buried here, his beloved wife Rebecca, and then afterwards Jacob and Leah. Rachel is buried in the tomb of Rachel. In the tomb of Rachel. It's just a trick question, Ari. You failed. In any case, that finished off about 3,500 years ago. So here's what I want you to do. When I say 4,000 years ago, you just say Abraham, okay? 4,000 years ago.
Abraham!
It's just that easy. It's just that easy, okay? Now, the Jewish people get exiled to Egypt. They come out of Egypt. What's that? Louder. They get exiled out of Israel, go to Egypt, get kicked out, basically leave Egypt, take some of the money with them, good for them, okay? Go to the desert 40 years, come back into the land of Israel, and then it's Joshua and the whole capture, and then after Joshua it's the judges, the prophets, and then finally it's going to be the kings. King David starts his kingdom here 3,000 years ago. So when I say 3,000 years ago, you say
Abraham.
No.
King David.
King David, okay? All right, let's try that again. 4,000 years ago?
Abraham.
King Abraham. Good
King
job.
David.
King David, okay. King David, he's the king here. He's actually the second king of Israel, but the first capital of all of Israel is here. And actually a miracle happens here, and that is that the Jewish people all agree on one thing. That is the miracle. All the tribes come and they crown King David here in Hebron. Okay, so this is the first capital of the Jewish people. That's 3,000 years ago. Okay, his son Shlomo builds the first temple. Solomon builds the first temple. The first temple is later destroyed by the Babylonians. The Jewish people come back under the Persians, and then the Greeks, and then the Romans. Okay, then we have a weird Roman Jewish king 2,000 years ago. His name is Herod. He's here. Now he's crazy. He kills rabbis. He kills 3 of his own sons. He kills his wife, puts her in honey. He laments killing his own wife. He's crazy, but he's an awesome builder.
And he's romantic.
And he's romantic because he keeps her in honey, and he calls her honey for those 3 years. Anyway, that's a tough time, but at the same time, he's a great builder, and he builds very famous places like we know the Western Wall. That's the outer outcropping, the retaining wall of the Temple Mount. He builds the second temple in its beauty and its greatness, and he builds a sister structure right behind us. Okay, so I say 2,000 years ago, you say Herod. So let's try this again. 4,000 years ago.
Abraham.
3,000 years ago.
David.
3,000 years ago.
He can answer for me,
King
by the
David.
way.
Okay, Ruthie, 3,000 years ago?
King David.
King David, 2,000 years ago. Herod. Okay, very good. All right, so Herod is here, and then the temple gets destroyed by the Romans, but this building never gets destroyed. Nobody wants to destroy this building. They want to own it. The Christians are going to come here, the Byzantine Christians and other folks, and they're going to say, hey, we're the true children of Abraham. We're the real Israel. Okay, and then the Muslims are going to come. They're going to destroy the churches, and they're going to come here, take over, and they're going to say, we're the real Israel. We're the children of these people, okay? And they, in the year 1267, they kick out all the Christians and the Jews from this building, and they rename it the Ibrahimi Mosque. Okay? 1,000 years ago, Maimonides comes here. Rambam, have you heard of Rambam? He's named after a hospital. And he comes here and he writes a letter in the year 1061, and he says, I'm here, and I came to pray at the tombs of the fathers and mothers, and I saw a Jewish community here. I saw Jewish people living here. That's 1,000 years ago. So when I say 1,000 years ago, you say
Rambam.
Maimonides. Okay, very good. Rambam, Maimonides, the same. Okay, so let's do this again. 4,000.
Abraham.
3,000.
King David.
2,000.
Herod.
1,000. Fine, the Maimonides. Great. 500 years ago, the Jewish people are kicked out of Spain. 1492. And guess what? They start coming to the land of Israel because, like, Spain's broken, so where are we going to go? 1492, they come here. By 1540, there's 1,000 Jews living in this town. Okay? And they can't go inside because they're kicked out of this building, but they are coming and praying and living. There's 1,000 Jews here. They build a beautiful synagogue. 500 years ago. We lived here for 500 years, pretty much calmly under Islam until a bad year, 1929. That's when a jihadist pogrom went through the town. A very bad dude who was later a Nazi named Haj Amin al-Husseini takes over this town, kicks out the Jews. It's really bad. The British are in cahoots. It's bad news, and we're out of this town from 1929 till 1967. In 1967 is the Six-Day War. Six-Day War, it's exactly 700 years after the Muslims kicked us out of this building. 1967, we come back and we walk into this building proud, komemiyut, standing upright. We go back and pray, okay, in our own building. So I have one question for you guys. Is this liberation or occupation? Well, it depends on how you see history. If history started in 1967, that these aggressive white people called the Jews, the Israelis, come and take over somebody else's land, it's occupation. But if we are 3,800 years in this city, it is, I think, liberation. Okay, past all the conflict, this place is about love. It's about 2 by 2. It's about couples, and it's about a Jewish people that have been here without break for 3,500 years in love, magnetized to this place. Jewish people are like a fridge magnet. Okay, you kick us out from this place, so we just magnetize ourselves. We were allowed to pray on this wall, the 7th step, for 700 years. You kick us out from the Temple Mount, we magnetize ourselves to the Western Wall. Now we're finally back, and the reason that we're doing our roundtable here is because this Sabbath, 35,000 people are coming to read the story about Abraham's purchase of this first piece of land that a Jewish person purchased in the land of Israel. He purchased this place for his beloved wife, Sarah. So that's what this is about, okay? We're celebrating that purchase. We're celebrating we are here, the children of the people buried there. So that is what this is about. Did we do it for 4,000 years in 4 minutes? Is that right?
I think
Okay,
Good job.
Okay, oh yeah, right. Why don't you give me one of look at this, look at this.
Underneath.
No, I got it.
Oh, you got one of
Right there.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, I
Yishai, you
dropped
should
the
be the
earth.
spokesman of Hebron.
That is a great idea, and I am very, 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 very privileged to have a job working for the Jewish community of Hebron. We have here some earth. Okay, we have him some earth. Now, who did Abraham negotiate with in order to buy the tomb of the fathers and mothers? What was his name?
Ephron the Hittite.
Ephron the Hittite. What does the word Ephron mean?
Pencil.
That's Iparon, that's close. Okay, that's very close. Let me put it this way. Shimshon means little son. Nachshon means little snake. What does Ephron mean?
Little
Little
earth.
earth. He was negotiating with the earth itself. I learned this from Rabbi Daniel in the Bat Ayin. Abraham negotiated with the earth itself. Today, and he purchased that earth for 400 silver weight. Today we are actually going to continue to broadcast this Judean Roundtable, and the way you're going to help us is by purchasing a little bit of this land so that it can live on your desk, in your life, in your car, and you can say, I've got a little bit of Hebron. We have only 100 of these little vials, okay? And they're what? $22 each, is that right?
$22 to support this program.
$22 to support this program. Thank you very much. Okay, and it just says Hebron Earth. It's just that simple. This is the earth of the land of Israel, and you can have it, and you can support this Judean
Now, what would
Roundtable.
you say to someone that said, you just got the dirt from China?
I saw.
We got the shovel right
Here's the
here.
pit. Wait, wait.
And the shovel says made in China.
Wait, here's the pit right here. Hold on a second, everybody. Look here.
Okay,
This is the pit right here. This is the dirt. This is the pit. You have the shovel?
there's the shovel.
Gedaliah, did you just call it
Okay,
dirt?
I'm sorry,
Gedaliah.
earth.
One thing I ask
Earth.
you.
Gedaliah literally pulled this land out of the earth, and it is steps away.
Shelly,
This
go to
is
the link.
officially
Get
within
yourself some
the
dirt
purchased
from Hebron.
property
Earth
of what
from
Abraham
Hebron.
purchased
Earth, not dirt.
3,800
Earth.
years ago so that we could be here today.
Amazing,
Amen.
amazing.
Love it.
All right, cut.
Ooh.
All right.
Go ahead.
You did it. By the
We're
way,
still going.
we're still
We're
live.
still alive.
We're still alive.
I know.
Josh,
There's
no,
there's some cameras still live.
Even
Cutting?
if it's quiet, it drowns out.
Guys, we're
everything.
cutting. There are
No,
some
we're coming back.
cameras
We're
coming back. still live, and there's some cameras.
Yeah, my
that are
camera's
coming
still
So
going.
who's
My
cutting?
beloved
Who's
Israel
going?
network. Hang in
Never
there.
stops.
We're launching in. Okay, so what are we doing now? Who's going
By
first?
the way, I just want to show you. Look
There's a
over
commercial
there.
break. So am I supposed to go cut?
You don't have to.
If you can look over there, these are Russian
Wait,
folks.
wait, wait.
Shalom, hello everybody, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel.
Здравствуйте. Okay,
Gonzalez
those are-
to look at.
one of my favorite hobbies is to
Vodka.
figure out who a person is without like talking with
Russian I
them.
know is
I'm
vodka.
like, you're Lithuanian, by the
Yes.
shoes. You purchased it on
They
the
never say
street.
yet the vodka.
Guys,
I just love to know
we're
where
still
people are
alive,
from. Okay.
people.
Okay,
I know.
Gedaliah, who's going
Let's
first?
go. Next.
You are.
That was
Okay.
history. Now we're going,
Wait,
guys.
wait, not yet. We gotta wait for Yishai to go.
Oh, go ahead, start it up.
Yalla.
All right, so we're launching in, guys. So here's the situation. I think we've all been feeling this on and off. I want to talk about Aliyah. Now, there's been a rise in anti-Semitism around the world. There have been tragedies that have happened I think America is the largest bastion of Jews that are not within Israel itself. And something like this just happened in Pittsburgh. Now, you know, this person's blaming Trump and this person's blaming Obama, and everybody's got some sort of agenda, and you want to just share your heart. But on the other hand, part of my heart really truly is that there's no future for American Jewry. However, when you say something like that, it turns a lot of people off. A lot of people are upset about it. I remember after the hypercash attack in France, the Prime Minister came out and said, Aliyah, and he was just lambasted, and he was, criticized. You're not allowed to push Aliyah. Now, what do you guys think about this? Should the state of Israel be proactively advocating Aliyah? Should we, as activists who are speaking out on behalf of the Jewish people on should we be pushing Aliyah? Is it an insensitive thing to do? Is it the right thing to do? You know, I remember there was a flood that happened in my hometown, Houston, Texas. And Josh Wander, who's not here, he made some sort of graphic of a rabbi carrying a Torah through a big water, drenched a synagogue filled with water, and it said, need to rebuild? Try Jerusalem. And I posted it on my site, and I got so many angry people, so many furious, how dare you capitalize on this tragedy? And then someone wrote me and said, I'm from Tennessee. If I said, need to rebuild, try Tennessee, nobody would think twice about it. Right. It's only when you say, need to rebuild, consider Israel, because it's such a loaded thing. What do you guys say?
But that's how you know it's the right thing. If it was the wrong thing to say, no one would be upset. No one's upset when they say move to Tennessee. But when you say come to Israel, when you touch someone's nerve, that you touched it. You're touching upon it. So I believe I'll go right into your question. I believe there's a two-pronged approach. Prong number one is 100% we're supposed to say make Aliyah. 100%. That is the solution. There is no other solution for the Jewish people. We have the ability. We have our homeland. We are sitting here at the footstep of our identity, of our nation, of our patriarchs. And of course we're supposed to come home. And my message to people is, hello, please open up your history books. Once upon a time, we used to call Spain the Golden Medina, right? The Jewish people thrived in Spain, thrived. We were the advisors to the kings and queens of Spain. How much higher can you get to? We made it. We were Spanish, right? And then came the Inquisition, and then came the expulsion, and we had to run away. All right, maybe that was the only one time. No, let's get another slap in the face. Germany, Jews used to call Berlin, right? The New Jerusalem. Think about that. A Jew calls another city in the exile the New Jerusalem. Basically an internalization within a Jewish psyche that I no longer need the real Jerusalem. I no longer need my homeland Israel. I got Berlin. And then what do we get? We have a Holocaust. Meaning, do I think things are going to fall apart tomorrow in America? No, not necessarily tomorrow. But if you read the history books, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So what's the only answer? Come home and make this home yours and make this country the place of redemption for all of us. That's prong number one. Wait, prong number two. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone is there. Not everyone can do it. First of all, they should still hear it. But second of all, you can't do it, then do everything you can to strengthen your Jewish identity and defend yourself wherever you are. Whether you're in Paris, you're in Tennessee, whether you're in Houston, whether you're in Pittsburgh, whether you're in New York. Strengthen your Jewish identity. Make sure you bring your children here, not to the beaches of Tel Aviv. This is the birthright, right? Everyone talks about the birthright, right? Birthright trips. They don't bring the kids here. This is their birthright. This is our birthright. Nowhere else in Israel. Here, Bethlehem, Elon Moreh, Beersheba, these are all the places we're reading the Tanakh. Bring birthright troops here to learn their birthright and strengthen their Jewish identity. And be prepared to defend yourselves because you don't know what's going to happen. That's my two-pronged approach.
All right, so be clear. You're saying yes to Aliyah?
For sure.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right, Ruth.
I want to tell you something personal. For years, and
Scream it out.
I want to tell you
Seriously.
that
Scream it out.
I'll date myself now, but moving here in the 80s, you kind of had to hide it. You were like, I'm going for a year, but don't worry, I'll go back and study in Columbia and be a normal Jewish American. Okay, but if you stay, so first of all, they think you're crazy. Second of all, they probably try to talk you out of it. And then when you come back to visit, I have to tell you what I was doing for, I don't know, maybe 20 years. I admit it. I was like, oh, Israel's great, but you're okay too. Don't worry. I'm saying this to my Zionist friends. How embarrassing is that? And about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I woke up, don't do the math. I woke up and I said, okay, but really? Because that's not what I believe. Why on earth am I hiding? Okay, I think I need another swig of the bourbon. But before that, I want to say that all of a sudden, I found myself returning to my hometown Cleveland, woohoo. We just fired all our coaches. And we, oh, thanks. Okay, here.
Amen. Wow.
Okay, there's
Nice
a little
job.
lipstick on there.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm not going to be as long and erudite, but I just want to say I went through a change. I showed up in my hometown once a year, whenever, and I would say, you know what, you people, you're living really nice lives, and you know what, you're sending your kids to all the right places and they're getting all the right messages. But first of all, when they come home from Israel and they tell you they want to stay there, and they want to serve in the army, and they want to go to college here, don't go, oh, you need your Harvard education first. I love Harvard, don't worry, but you don't need it. You need to stay here. You need to get your first job here, your education here, your Hebrew here, just stay. So if you're teaching your kids about Israel, great, and this is really our homeland. And the second thing I told them was, you look nice and comfortable, but you know what? We're pretty comfortable too now. We're not asking for much from America. We're actually offering for you to come here. So don't think of us as like, oh, they're giving up so much for their Zionist ideals and they live in Israel. No, we get to live here. We get to live here. I do visit and I love it, and there's lots of things you all know about me that I love over there, but it's a visit because this is the only place I feel at home, and I have an inkling that a lot of you feel the same way. So when you get your Zionist hat on, remember that it's not just to give a little donation and go to the GA and I don't know what else you do, but it's to send your kids here and let them stay here, and then maybe even consider being here because you don't really have a choice. This is the only place you're going to feel at home.
When they have grandkids here, they're going to come here anyways.
Well, don't wait
All right,
till
so
then.
Ruthie, Mazel Tov, I'm coming out of the Aliyah closet. That's right. Okay, Yishai.
I'll pass it to Ben.
The torch has been passed. I think for me, first of all, I wish you were all here to feel this beauty of this day, the birds, this holy land that we have, the zechut, the merit to sit in, while Israeli soldiers, male and female, are protecting us, while God protects us against a horde of over 20 Arab nations who wish to destroy us with a sea literally to our back. Yet here we are not only talking about pride and strength, we're trying to show you globally what this pride and strength looks like from all different walks of life. I don't think I need to speak to my American friends, my brothers and sisters, like little children. Oh, it's okay, you're good. Oh, you can come here one day. Let me tell it to you straight. You live on an island of people who do not like you. You have never been liked. You are 3,000 plus years the most hunted nation in the world. God has opened up the gates for Israel. If you choose not to come home, bichirat chofshit, you have made your choice. Just as if you choose to eat pork or gefilte fish. Just as if you choose to keep Shabbat or not. This is another choice in life. You either make it or you break it. That's my opinion.
Okay, I think I really like what Ben just said, and I think my small point is this. Look, I like what he said about like treating people as grown-ups. They're gonna have to make their own choices. We invite you. We're inviting you to come home. We're inviting you. It's the most amazing experience, and I think the way I would invite it, and I really would prefer that people would come through love. Most people in Israel have come here because of some form of anti-Semitism. North American Jews, Anglo Jews are coming here really by choice because they're coming from really good countries. I invite you, but here's the invitation. We're part of the most exciting project of the Jewish people in 2,000 years. We're building a Jewish state. Sometimes I see people arguing about, you remember those 20,000 people or 40,000 people that gathered in the city stadium, whatever it's called over there, and talked about the ills of the internet? I'm like, yes, the internet has issues, but we're building a Jewish state. This is the most exciting project of our peoplehood in a long time. So I say, like, don't worry so much about the bad. There is bad. I agree with you. There's bad. There's definitely bad to watch out. There's the, you know, crazy shooters and all those kind of people. You know, we got those ourselves. I say, come be part of the building process. This is exciting. If you're a young person and you could be like, I can go work as an executive in this company and make a lot of money, or I can help build a Jewish country that we've been waiting for, we've pined away for 2,000 years. I think the choice is obvious. So that's my point. And my second prong is, take a step. What is your step? Maybe you can't make Aliyah tomorrow, but what is your step? Can you send your kids here, like you said? Can you send them for the summer? Can you send them on birthright? Can you buy Israeli products? Can you drink wine from Eretz Yisrael
Schedule
Friday
a family
night?
sabbatical.
That's
A
right, a family sabbatical.
Right.
Buy property in the land of Israel. That would be smart. That would be really smart, and you get a little bit of earth. You could get a little. Did I mention that you could buy a little bit of earth from the land of Israel to help support this incredible Judean Roundtable? It's just so easy and awesome. $22, you support this amazing broadcast. Thank you, Gedaliah, and find out more on our respective web pages. Land of Israel. Did I mention that? Any case, the bottom line is that you have an opportunity to build, and what was the second point? Oh, take a step. Take a step. What is your little step? Come for the summer. Make sure that you save enough money throughout the year to come to Israel in the summertime. That's just something that you do because that's part of your economic plan for the year.
So to wind this subject up, and we're going to shift to the next one, this is not an agenda, and this is not about blaming Obama or blaming Trump or blaming anyone. This is an invitation. We don't get any commission on a Jew that makes Aliyah. This is simply saying...
Dude, you're missing out.
This is saying Israel has given us passion and vitality and joy. The life that your children will live here is unparalleled anywhere else in the world. So we're just saying, consider it, come to Israel. I think we've come down unanimously.
Absolutely.
Aliyah is the message. Okay.
Right.
Amen.
I just want to thank Shelly for buying dirt. She's the first
Thank
one.
you, Shelly!
Shelly bought dirt
Good
from
job,
Hebron.
Shelly.
Shelly.
Can
Earth,
you say earth?
not
She
dirt.
lives in Hebron and she bought earth from Hebron.
No,
That
no.
is a very
Shelly
cool.
from the U.S.
This
bought
is Aretz now.
Earth. Thank you,
bought a
Shelly.
little bit of,
We
yeah.
appreciate it. You're
All
number
right,
one,
the sun
Shelly.
is setting. The sun is setting. So let us move to our next subject. Who's next?
Me, I'm next. What am I next about? I am next. I am next about whatever you guys
Gotta love
ask me to
bourbon.
do. All right, I want to tell you about U.S.-Israel relations and why, I forgot how we titled it, why we can do even better. No. That was
That's all right. That's good. Okay.
for it.
Okay.
We can do
So-
better. I like that. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I want to say that this is the art of the possible. What happened is, I worked in the Israeli government, and again, it's not fair that I have to project so much.
No, you're hearing you. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I worked in Hebrew, and I was going to make Aliyah to only speak Hebrew. I don't speak English. I'm not from somewhere else. And then I realized, oh, no. Every time a congressman, a senator, even the president of the United States came, I was brought in because I speak English and because I like sports teams and I can relate to the American public. So, hey, use your English. So I looked around and I said, all right, what are we doing? What do we want to do? And where do we want to be in another year? And where do we want to be in another 5 years? And where do we want to be for our children? And I saw that there was an opportunity. And the opportunity that I felt, and it's amazing, just what we were talking about, making Aliyah, it's amazing how many opportunities there are here. They're endless and creative and available. I just stepped right in and said, okay, I'm going to take people who love Israel in Washington, and I'm going to connect them with people who love Israel, who are our politicians in Israel. I'm going to get them working on some projects together. Should I be talking to you?
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
Just
Talk
give
about
it-
it.
Okay.
Give your name, though. There people want to know. They didn't catch your name.
Who are you, Ruthie
My
Lieberman?
name is Ruthie Jaffe Leiberman. Our friends from the Yes Israel Project are supposed to be on this live, but they're not. So shout
Facebook
out
gave
to
us
them
trouble.
because Facebook was giving us trouble. Maybe, I don't know, they don't like
Come
us
on,
anymore.
Mark. Come on.
Mark.
Yeah.
But you're going to be delayed. So our friends come from the Yes Israel Project, and what we're doing is all nonprofit, and basically it's working with volunteer manpower to find our friends in Congress
And
then-
woman power.
and and only if they drink bourbon, and move issues forward. One of the big issues that a lot of people take credit for, I'm going to take zero credit, but whoever knows us knows we have a little piece of it, is something like moving the embassy. Moving the embassy. Hello, Jerusalem is our capital. How many years? King David?
Abraham.
3,000.
No,
3,000
There you
years.
go. 4,000? No,
Jerusalem,
3,000,
D.C.,
yeah.
David's capital.
I'm a tour guide, really. Also, I should really know that, but so we moved the capital. We said it's our capital. This is the only country in the entire world that America is friends with, who America said, no, your capital, we don't care. We're going to put it somewhere else. So Tel Aviv. Really, Tel Aviv's a nice city. Hello, but Jerusalem is our capital. It's now been moved there. Every single president for the past, I don't know how long, has promised that when he gets into power, he will move the capital. He did not move the capital. Republicans, Democrats, thank you all. This current president's administration did move it. The current U.S. ambassador is totally behind us, and it's so easy to work with the United States administration right now that we're just rubbing our hands together and waiting for the next issue. So that's the kind of thing that goes on here. We're speaking out as Americans. We are not speaking out as just foreign Israelis, we're Americans. We have the right to vote in America. We have congressmen, we have senators. Right now, I am extremely tired because we have 7 more days till elections in America. We just had our elections in Israel yesterday, municipal elections, so no sleep for the weary. That doesn't make sense. And next week, on Tuesday, we're waiting to see that all our friends get back in. So you guys have been a part of it. A lot of you have been on target here. We bring everyone who comes to Israel with us. We bring them to Hebron. We talk about our birthright. We talk with the Bible in our hand, and we walk with the Tanakh, and we say Abraham was here, and let's look at what it says in here, and let's see what we can do together. So we work on the legislative end, we work on the educational end, and I think it's an opportunity for everybody because we have lots of people volunteering with us here in Israel, in America, to help reach out to these people and help them learn and then help strengthen them so they get more electoral support for what they're doing because they're so powerfully working for Israel, which they love anyways, and we're kind of using that love and we're channeling it to some political ends. I want to ask you guys who've been with us on some of these things, or if you haven't, tell me what you think was a strong influence of some of the programs that we ran with some of the people who are very powerful now in America, and where you think we should emphasize it or add. What do you think?
I haven't been, so I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, I don't necessarily can answer the questions that you ran, but I can tell you some of the programming that influenced me to make Aliyah. And maybe we should be talking about that, about like what are the ingredients in a good program, because the real program that most influenced me to make Aliyah was the first Zionist Congress in Canaan, New York, run and put together by Yishai Fleisher. And I remember what it was. It was Jews coming together and saying, this is our vision. We want to make Aliyah. We want to move to Israel. We want to change the world. How do we do that? Right, so I want to know, Ruthie, is that the type of thing that you're really bringing together here?
I think Ruthie's talking about also American policy, okay?
Okay,
and
policy.
Ruthie has been, for the last many years, one of the people pushing the embassy move to Jerusalem. By the way, that embassy move to Jerusalem, which happened, is also effectuating Australia, for example, to think about, should we move our embassy to Jerusalem? I think that the power that you've harnessed through American congressmen can be also kind of, that soft power can keep going. We can get other states, and when other states get behind it, it won't be just a Trump thing. It will be really a global movement towards that. Personally, another issue that I'm working on, and I'm working with you on, and you know, at the same time, is really the issue of the two-state solution, and trying to get a new conversation about not giving away our land to the PLO, but being the sovereigns around here. Of course, you know, giving rights in one modicum or another to other people who are living with us in this great country, freedoms and liberties, but at the same time holding on to the Jewish state. The nationality law, nationality bill, which passed, is exactly the declaration that Israel is a Jewish state for Jewish people, to protect the Jewish people, with our flag, with our calendar, with our language. Yes, we have other minorities, we have to give them rights, but this is a Jewish state. And I think that that's something that you're pushing the consciousness of, and I appreciate that.
And let me just give you an example of both speaking to the heart and the head of very important politicians. We have a senator who came not so long ago, who we gave him Earth. Did we mention the Earth? And I actually went up on the Temple Mount with him, as we also do, Hebron, Temple Mount, and we snuck a little dirt, and I saved it for him for his son's wedding, because in Jewish tradition, at a wedding, we remember Jerusalem, and we kind of put dirt on, earth on, and so I gave it to him then, and I think we moved the family to tears, I hope. And the other thing was more in terms of logic and then applying it to policy. We had him see the terrain and see the closeness, the geographical, where we live, what it looks like, how far, how wide the country is, where Arabs live, where Jews live. Can you draw a line? And can you say there are going to be 2 more states in this area? Or maybe we better rethink that because you Jews are too stubborn to be going anywhere. It makes sense to keep you here because it's safer for everybody here, and because we really don't have a line to draw. So we're going to figure out something beyond the 2-state solution and make everyone happy here, but we're not dividing this land anymore. So that's the kind of thing they see when they come here.
As someone who's been on some of these trips with the U.S. politicians, I can tell you they are in awe by the trips that Ruthie and Sarah and their team.
Let's hear some names. Throw out some names of senators.
Some names of senators. Jim Jordan, Congressman. Congressman Jim Jordan.
Congressman Langford
Congressman
was
McKinley.
Here. Congressman Langford was here.
Congressman, help me out.
Mark Meadows.
Mark Meadows.
North Carolina.
Louis Gohmert.
That's
New
right.
York,
That's right.
Texas,
They-
Ohio,
Dennis
Florida.
Ross.
Ron DeSantis, we hope you're governor next week.
That's right.
They are in awe because they're not just given the regular vanilla chocolate trip that other organizations give, where you see that Israeli high-tech companies, you meet parliamentarians in the Israeli parliament, in the Knesset, you see coexistence in Jerusalem. They're not given just that. They are given a much more deep understanding of who we are as a people and what the true conflict is about. They are brought to Hebron. Those that want go up to the Temple Mount. They are brought to the city of David. They are given an appreciation of the Jewish historical connection to this land and our identity as a people that unfortunately the Israeli government and mainstream Jewish organizations do not focus upon. And they're in awe. They're like, really? There's so much more depth to your story as a people, as your nation, as your homeland? Why have you been hiding this information from us? That's what they say. Most mainstream Jewish organizations, they're just focused on the conflict. Two-state solution, peace talks, Israeli high-tech investment. Put it aside whether those have to be dealt with. But they are not given the intensity and the love and the depth that Ruthie and her team and Sarah are able to give over to each and every U.S. politician when they come to Israel. And they really grow an appreciation, a deep love for the Jewish people that they did not necessarily have as much before, because some of them are lovers of the Jewish people, and a better understanding of how this area there will be peace when Israel is allowed to govern, when the Arabs are able to prosper because Israel is in control, and not necessarily focus on the man-made solutions that are not solutions, but really they're not solving the problem, but they're really just band-aids that extend the conflict.
And I think this
longer.
is also a time it can be well received, because as opposed to the past administration where they saw us as puppets or vassals that were at their mercy, that were asking them for something, I think this administration sees us eye to eye. They see us as peers, they see us as critical allies that they need arguably more than we need them. So the relationship is now not codependent, but it's one of mutual respect.
Agreed.
So Ruthie's coming to the table, not begging for anything, but offering something, offering insight, offering help, offering an understanding of how critical Israel is for America's self-interest, for America's well-being, and for the welfare of the entire Western civilization.
Okay, so I'm sitting here among giants, so I'm sorry that it's focusing on what the little part that we're trying to do. But what I do want to say here is I want to give everyone a chance to do something, because A, you should all go out and vote. If you're American and you have the right to vote next week, go vote and check your candidates' records on Israel. Check them, because Democrats, Republicans, be sure whatever you feel that they're supporting Israel, because we know you do, and we know that a lot of them really, really don't. So that's the danger. Go out, let's do that. Second, take a look at Yes Israel. I want you guys to join us because you have voices, you can raise them, you can learn from everyone here. You're probably following everyone already, and then you can take what you're learning, and instead of being frustrating, we're going to channel that and do something about it and really make a difference. And third, I just want to say that whoever hasn't come on their own, come. Look how different it is. Look how passionate we are. I mean, these guys are being very mellow right now. They're really passionate. And it's fun, and it's interesting, and it's eye-opening, and just really do what you said. Save up. It's not that expensive. I'm a guide if you want. And and actually some other people here are. And we want to share this with you because you can know more and then do more.
And finally, I want to build you up a little bit more and build upon what you just said very quickly. The name of the program is Yes Israel Project, and the Facebook page is Yes to a Strong Israel. The bottom line is understanding that a strong America is ensuring a strong Israel. So by supporting a candidate that supports Israel, you're helping America. It's not about helping Israel. It's to ensure a strong America. You are working to make sure Israel is as strong as possible, and that's what it's all about.
All right, who's up next?
Mr. Fleisher.
Okay. I'm just still processing here. All right. What are we talking about?
Modern day Hebron.
Okay. Okay, modern day Hebron. Here we go. Here we go, friends. First thing I want to tell you that we are in Hebron, the first purchase of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. That's number one. And also the forefathers and mothers. They are the founders of our whole peoplehood. We're talking about Abraham. Who is Abraham? It's the guy who came up with monotheism. He doesn't come up with it. He discovered it. Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, and Leah. It all starts here in our consciousness. Really, half the world today follows the Abrahamic faiths. Abraham, this is Mike Pence said, Abraham is the forefather of faith for half the world. Okay, so that's where we are right now, 3,800 years later. What about Hebron today? First thing, this Shabbat, 35,000 people are coming to Shabbat to our sister city Kiryat Arba, here to Hebron, in order to read that chapter of Abraham's purchase. Very important. Okay, we're setting up big tents over there. There's going to be actually the biggest Shabbat meals ever recorded, 5,000 people. And there's chandeliers in there. There are chandeliers, okay? All right, now what about Hebron life today? Let me tell you a little story. This is a story for everybody. You guys like stories? I like stories.
Love stories.
Love stories. Here's how the story goes. I was standing right over there with an Australian journalist. Australian journalist says to me, Mr. I can't do Australian, so it sounds British, forgive me. And it goes like this, Mr. Fleisher, don't you know you're living in occupied land? And I'm thinking to myself, let me get this straight. You're a white Australian, right? You came 200 years ago across the world, decimated a local population of a land that had nothing to do with you. You planted a flag and then you said, hey, it's the lucky country. Let's put some shrimp on the barbie, right? Yeah, everything is great. I am standing here with my back to a monument that's 2,000 years old, proving the bona fides of my indigenousness or indigeneity. Indigenitude, okay? And so here I am. I'm from here. I speak this. I'm a Semite. I'm a Heb. I'm a Red Sea pedestrian. I'm from here, okay? Okay, I'm from this place. And she says this thing, and she's coming to judge me. And my heart broke. And at that very minute, a guy passed me. My heart like felt like a drop of darkness. And a guy passed me. He was the gardener here. And he says to me in Russian, because I speak Russian, he says, "You want I should make you some coffee?" That's what he said. He said, should I make you some coffee? And I'm like, Gennady, thank you so much, but I'm with this person. But I thought to myself, damn it, Gennady came from Ukraine. He's my age. He's strong. He's a gardener. He's a beautiful person, and he just wants to make me some coffee. There's goodness in this world. 3 hours later, I was sitting in my office. A call came on the emergency channel, and they said somebody had been stabbed next to the tomb of the fathers and mothers. We thought it was a soldier, but it was Gennady. And he was a tough guy. He held out for 10 days. And then he succumbed to his wounds and he died. He was murdered. He was murdered here. Why do I tell this story? Because we are facing two wars here in Hebron. One war is that physical war. Terrorism, they're trying to scare us, trying to kill us, trying to get rid of us. But we're facing another war. And that is the narrative war, where people are saying, you're foreign to this place. You've taken over somebody else's land. And we deal constantly with all kinds of ultra-left, jihadi forces, all kinds of forces walking through this town and saying, you're a stranger here. You don't belong. You're an occupier. And that's the big word, occupation, occupation, occupation. And that occupation has been also preoccupied in people's minds, especially students in American campuses. Right. That's the life we have here. We're trying to settle Jews here. Yes, we're trying to settle them, help them build, help them live. We have 80 families here today, and we have another 8,000 people living next door. We have about 10,000 people in this block of Hebron.
There's a waiting list of families.
There is
right?
a waiting list, and we're trying to get our government to approve more housing. We just got approval for 31 new apartments in the Knesset. Did you see that? 21 million shekel to move an army base so that we can put a community here. The Hebron, we mentioned Yes Israel. That's right. I must mention the Hebron Fund, which really helps us root ourselves in our roots. Okay, we are rooted here because people like you around the world go to Hebron Fund, contribute, and help us. Check out this story. Just this week, somebody was like, Yishai, I want to sponsor a table for Chaye Sarah for this Shabbat. I'm giving you $1,800. Just to have a table so you'll eat here in Hebron. I want to be part of this incredible mitzvah, this incredible commandment to hold on to our land. So that's the life here, and it's beautiful, and it's tough, and it's gritty, and it's also embracing, and it's all kinds of Jews coming together, and that is what Hebron is really about. It's about mama and papa, the mamas and the papas, the children coming home.
So what's your question?
What's my question
You're
about what?
Pose a question.
Oh, okay, here's my question. My question is, what steps can we take to root ourselves when other forces in this world are trying to uproot us? There are forces that want to literally uproot us. So I'm asking you, help me. Okay, Ben, help me out. Ben, help me out here. Here's the deal.
Goldstein's been quiet today, folks.
Okay,
What's
Ben,
up?
this could be seen two ways. It's either a shovel to put in a plant or to uproot a plant. Which one is it going to be? How are we going to fight the forces that want to uproot us? Ben.
The forces that want to uproot us have been the same forces that have wanted to uproot us no matter whether we were living in Germany, as we said, in Spain, or even Egypt over 3,000 years ago when Christians were being killed thinking mistakenly they were Jews. This is not a new question. To me, really the only question is, why do we have to continue defending ourselves? Why do I need to sit here in front of all of you in the world and say, hi, I'm a Jew. I have the right to live. Please let me live. It's absolutely ridiculous that people are following the teachings and preachings of an Egyptian brutal terrorist named Yasser Arafat, instead of focusing on the righteousness and goodness for what Israel is literally bleeding off of to the world every single day. The forces that want to uproot us will want to uproot us today, have wanted to uproot us yesterday, will want to uproot us tomorrow. The only question really remains, how strong and how unified are we as a people, with our matriarchs and patriarchs hearing us right now? How unified are we as a people that we together globally, whether you're watching this in Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas, Spain, Germany, anywhere in the world, how unified are you right now to be a part of what we represent? To come home with a capital H. Let them try and uproot us. Look at where we are. There's nothing they can do to stop this tide. There's nothing they can do to stop this flow. Yet they try every single day. So I beg you, whether you are in Pittsburgh, whether you are in Tennessee, Canada, Australia, or as the Zohan would say, Australia, no matter where you might find yourself in the world, let them try and uproot you. That's what brought me back to the fold. The enemy of Israel saying, you dirty kike, you stupid Jew. You know how many times I heard that growing up in Tennessee? You know what got me wearing my kippah on my head in Tennessee? Was exactly the hatred. So let it fuel you. Let it burn you up. Don't let it put you in a corner, in a cave, in the darkness, where you're afraid to walk your campus saying that you love Israel. Walk with pride, walk with strength, but walk the 6,000-7,000 miles home. Fly on an airplane on the wings of eagles home, and let them continue to try to uproot us from the very land that we've been in for over 3,000 years. That's my answer.
Okay.
As dangerous it is to talk after Ben Goldstein. I don't know how I can follow that. But I think exactly, I was going to say, you know, they're trying to uproot us, right? So what are we doing out at our farm in the Judean hilltop?
Digging.
We're digging in. We didn't invest in fences and in caravans and in security systems. We said, no, we're going to take all of our funds and plant trees because we're here to stay. But then I'm listening to Ben Goldstein talk, and he's not talking about what can I do as a Jew in Judea. He's talking to Jews around the world. That's where the message really needs to be. And I think really what we're doing here is so important, because part of the message here is enough hasbara, right? Enough constantly making, who makes an appeal in court? A defendant. Who are we defending against? Why are we constantly defending ourselves as if the adjudicator is the rest of the world and we're trying to make our claim? I think we got to stop it. We got to stop that game, because we're making the claims and they're debating us, and is Hamas in that game?
Aren't you sick of being on defense?
Why are we always on the defense? We should say, okay, you want to attack us, attack us. We're not talking about that. What we're doing is we are setting up aliyah programs. We're setting up aliyah programs to encourage Jews to come back, to encourage Jews to come here, even if it's just for one of the 3 high holidays, even if you're not a religious Jew. Come here for the Feast of Tab, for Sukkot, for Pesach. The state of Israel should be footing that bill. There should be official legislative birthright trips to Israel, because once a Jew comes back, something lights up in their heart. And that's why this is not an agenda. If you say, oh, it's for religious Orthodox Jews. I want Reformed Jews in Israel. I want Reformed synagogues in Israel.
All Jews in Israel.
I want every single Jew to come in Israel. And if you say, oh, well, it's not welcome for Reformed people, come. We want you here. We are all welcoming you here, and you want to set up your community here, do it. This is not agenda-based. This is not about demographics. This is about a family. The Jewish people are a family. In any family reunion, there's going to be people that support Trump and Obama, but we're a family, so that it has to transcend that. And that's what I think is part of really digging our roots in, is understanding we're a family, we're coming home. Stop with constantly making you're on a losing battle on college campuses. It's not going to work. You're just going to be digging and digging and digging and digging, and it's going to wear you away. That's not where you have to be.
So this is, I'm going to build upon what you just said, and to answer your question, our Is it my microphone? Is that
No, it's the conch.
We're home!
You can hear Judea if
All
you
right.
listen to it.
This is what it's about, and this is how I define my work, and I think we all do this in our own way. We are not here to explain. We are here, and when I say here, we are here in Israel doing what we do every day, online, offline, in our lives, talking to people. We are here to inspire people to be proud Jews.
But what are you
to
doing?
Be proud of their identity.
But what are they doing? That's the question.
You're right.
What are you doing to do this? Enough talk.
You're right.
Do.
You're right. You're right.
Or step
And
off the line.
You're doing.
You're right.
You're doing.
So I know.
What are they doing?
You're right. You're right. But some of them, not the ones watching right now, but they're going to share this with their friends and family. Some of them, they're on the college campuses, and they don't have a strong Jewish identity. They believe that believing in gay marriage is Jewish value. They believe that all these progressive values, whether they're good or bad, that is Judaism. That's not Judaism. Some of them are good values. Some of them are Jewish. Some of them have nothing to do with Judaism. But that's not Judaism. Judaism is not a religion. We are a nation. We are a people. And this is the point I wanted to make. And we all try to do this in our own way. Getting people to understand. You are part of a people that we are in the same place as our ancestors 3,000 years ago, speaking the same language, living in the same homeland, doing the same cultural traditions, right? How many other people in the world can say that? And instead of embracing that and being proud of their heritage, being proud of their identity, being proud of being part of the most inspiring and miraculous story of the 21st century, that we're an indigenous people to be back home, all these human rights activists, all these indigenous rights activists, we are the success story. Put us up on a major billboard. Be like the Jews. They're home. They're sovereign after 2,000 years of exile. Be like the Jew. But no, instead they denigrate us. Instead they call us the occupier. And my call out to all these Jews on the college campuses is be a proud Jew. Learn your history. Own it. Be proud of it. And come home and do at least that one thing that you give yourself to strengthen yourself. Because my line to college students is, if you're being attacked on college campus about Israel, it's not about defending Israel. It's about defending your own identity as a Jew. And by crossing over to the dark side and becoming anti-Israel and supporting BDS, you have basically sold your own identity out for nothing.
And you haven't guaranteed yourself any safety. Because there's some sort of subconscious thing. They're like, wow, look at all that's going on in these college campuses. They hate Jews. They hate Israel. If I just throw Israel under the bus, as easy as that is, I've never even been there. Okay, I'll throw it under the bus and everyone will love me. It may seem like they love you. They don't love you. They don't love you. There was entire parties of Jews for Hitler. Those Jews for Hitler were in the cattle cars with every other Jew. It didn't matter if you were left, if you were right, whether you're a communist or a capitalist, you were on the cattle car, and that's one thing Jewish history should teach us. So liberate yourself from the delusion that siding with the enemies of your people is going to save you or protect you. It will not.
All right.
On that positive note.
That actually leads in.
Positive before we leave.
Yeah.
You know, to bring that in, the opposite side, you're talking about the community of Hebron, if we forgot what the segment was about, right? The community of Hebron, I want you to talk about, if you can, a person or people that you know in the community, how they act, how they live their lives, what their ideology is, in contrast to what everybody else is talking about how you should act. I want you to illustrate to us, to the audience, what kind of person moves into a city that is what, 5% Jewish, 3%?
3%. I guess if I had to speak about somebody, I would speak about one of my mentors here, which is Noam Arnon. And Noam Arnon moved here about 30 years ago. He found a synagogue that was destroyed. He was one of the people who found the synagogue that was destroyed, the Avram Avinu synagogue, and then dug it out and then helped rebuild it. And it was basically destroyed from about the year 1950 till about 1980. For 30 years, it was totally destroyed and no Jew was allowed in there. And he rebuilt it, and today he is getting his PhD about studying the tombs of the fathers and mothers here. But on top of that, what's weird about him is that he's a hardcore settler. He's from this place. He's been living here for 30 years, but he's actually known as the Arabs call him the foreign minister. Okay, why do they do that? Because he's the kind of guy that actually brings out other Arab voices that don't want the Palestinian Authority here, that want Jewish sovereignty here, that want to do business. And I'm going to tell you an incredible thing that happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was in a meeting with Noam Arnon and a few Arab leaders around here. This was through Avi Zimmerman's, what's it called? The Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, Judean Samaria Chamber of Commerce. And I sat in this building right over there with a guy, his last name was Husseini. Oh. And I'm like, this is insane. I said to him, wait a minute, what is your relationship to the guy who killed 69 Jews here and destroyed the Jewish community in 1929? He's like, he's my great-grandfather, but today we're looking to make understanding with the Jewish people. We know you're not going anywhere. We know you're here to stay. We know that we'll have a better life with you if we reject terrorism and we begin to live and have business and normal commerce, normal life. And so I'm sitting there with number one settler, with the great-grandson of one of our great murderers here in the land of Israel who became a Nazi and killed 40,000 Jews as a part of the Bosnian SS. Okay? And his great-grandson is like, no, it's over. That crud is over. It's time to make peace. It's time to accept the Jews and respect the Jews. I think that one word that I would say about all this stuff is that the Jews of Hebron are not about peace. We're about respect. You're going to understand that we're going to be here. You want love, you'll get love. But if you want war, we'll give you war, okay? And we're going to be here because we know it's just. We know it's right. We're going to dig it out. We're going to hold on, dig in, as you said, all right? But at the same time, we're not haters. We're not haters. We can accept you if you respect us. I think that's the new motto of really what we should be aiming for here in the Middle East. Not peace, respect.
No, but that's the only way to bring about peaceful relations. Meaning the word peace has been misused, has been abused. It's turned into an industry that extends the war and extends the conflict. The respect angle, that's what's going to bring the peaceful relations.
I also want to just bring one thing. We are in times right now which are epic and historic and of biblical consequence. And I think we all agree with that. We feel it. Everybody feels it to some degree. Just last week, this last Shabbat at the farm, you know who was sitting at my Shabbat table?
No.
The grandson of a Nazi. And he was sitting in Judea, and he's there volunteering from 5 a.m. every day at the farm. He's building up our retreat center. He's pruning the trees, and he loves the Jewish people. Wow. That's Esau. The grandson of Esau is coming and saying, I love Israel. And now the grandson of Ishmael is coming, saying, I'm coming, I want Israel.
Right. That's right.
This is where peace is going to break out.
Right.
Peace is going to break out in this place.
I have a kid who says, I wish I would have been around in 1948. That's her time period. That's the time she would have wanted to be here because that's when she could have been part of the establishment of the state of Israel. And she gets a little depressed and she says, oh, but now what can I do? And so I try to remind her and introduce her to lots of people like the people right here because this is so much better. Like, okay, somebody went and captured the land again so that we could get it. And thank you, the Arab countries all attacked us, so we had no choice. And now we have a state. Terrific. That happened in the time of our grandparents mostly, and now our kids, and we get to look forward and build everything. It's so exciting. So it's positive, it's from a good place, and I think that politically what's really important is that they realize we are here to stay. So respect us, love us, whatever, work with us because we're here. So any solution is going to come from,
that's right.
We're here, we're doing what we're doing, you can join us, you're welcome to, but we're not going anywhere.
And if you don't want to love us, you don't want to respect us, we got Ben Goldstein.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So all of our checks, yeah.
I guess
I eat shawarma for breakfast.
Okay, I think it's time to close out. Is that right? It's time
We have one more segment.
Oh, we have one more segment.
One more segment.
Let me close out this segment
Yeah.
by just saying one thing. This place behind us, the Tomb of the Fathers and Mothers, it's really about romance. It's about love. It's about love of couples that became a family and gave birth to a nation. It's about love. Okay?
Do you hear this? What's happening to the sound? If you speak Arabic, they're saying the Jews are coming home.
That's right. They're saying Shema Israel. I think actually, I wanted to say that also Ishmael and Isaac buried their joint father Abraham here.
Right.
And so in some crazy sense, this city of conflict can also be the city of the beginnings of understanding. If the house of Saud would get together with the house of Israel and be like, we have to give honor to our joint father, okay? We would beautify this place and be like the beginnings of Arab-Jewish understanding would be here, where our father would want that.
It's beautiful. Are you showing them all this? It's gorgeous.
Yeah, we're panning around.
It's getting dark.
For sure.
And cold.
One last topic.
Now it's time for the security corner.
Not bad. For the Jews that don't want to come home.
All Jews must die!
No,
How does that sound in the land of
I do
Israel?
not like that.
Every single police officer just turned around.
Yeah.
Not all Israelis must die. Not all Zionists must die. Not all occupiers must die. All Jews must die. That's what separates what happened in Pittsburgh from what people wish would have happened instead. What do I mean by that sick statement? People can't get away from the fact that Jews are reviled, feared, misunderstood, and hated globally. Not just today, not during a certain administration, not even on a certain plot of land. This has bounced to the four corners of the earth. No matter where we were thrown to, no matter how good it gets for us in every single generation, eventually we reach a peak. And that peak turns into all Jews must die. So what do you do when you hear that next in your synagogue this weekend? What do? What are you going to do? Are you going to blame an administration for it? Are you going to blame guns for it? Are you going to blame politics for it? Are you going to blame red hats that say make America great again for it? Or are you going to realize, finally get your head out of the sand and realize that no matter where you stand as a Jew, in this world, you are still wearing that yellow star. Even if you want to run away from it, there are so many Jews in Germany who wanted to run from it. Yet they found their heritage. They located their birthright. And they said, you're coming with us to the gas chambers. Political sides don't matter. Religious belief doesn't matter. God is here whether you choose to believe in God or not. Israel doesn't even matter. Israel's here whether you choose to believe it in or not. And as you can hear around us, the Islamic call to prayer, what happens in this city, we're talking about security, where we are sitting right now, I promise you, you have no idea if a sniper is watching us from this hilltop. Because our enemy crosses all boundaries, all borders, all laws, all guns are not welcome on this premises, signs, all good intentions. And they have one desire and one goal, and that is to separate our unity. That is to destroy us at every corner, at every turn, with every prayer possible. They are to destroy us. So how can you secure yourself? How can you secure your community? How can you stop asking yourself, what can I do? The next attack happens, I don't carry a gun. What do I do? There is so much you can do. There is so much unity you can build within your community. There are trauma courses you can take in order to at least not feel lost anymore. Forget about a gun. Any fool, as we know from our neighbors around us, any fool, any sick individual can hold a gun. But what separates this gun from me or all of us holding it and the people who live in the buildings, literally not 50 meters from where I sit, is that in the hands of the Jewish nation, this gun represents peace, growth, life, l'chaim. In the hands of our enemy, it represents death and chaos and blackness. And that enemy lives directly around the corner from you. I know it from experience in Tennessee. You know it from experience in Pittsburgh. They don't have to be Muslim. There are Muslims right now defending the land of Israel. Proudly, I work with them daily. They don't have to be Christian. I have Christian friends who would die shoulder to shoulder just to defend this land, this earth that we're showing you in a vial. It's anybody, it's everybody that despises goodness, that despises righteousness, that chooses darkness and chaos over life. So the next time you want to shout in public that it's a situational thing that has to do with this current administration, shame on you for not only being ignorant, but for pushing that ignorance onto your people. You will be responsible for the next massacre. It only takes good people, men and women, to stand back and do nothing for evil to flourish. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish, if you're atheist, if you're a devil worshiper. I could care less. Try to stand up for good once in your life, and I promise you, you will stand up straighter, you will stand up stronger, and your children, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, they will thank you for it in the end.
All right. I have one tiny comment on that, which is a story that happened right here. I was with a group, and this one Indian Muslim guy goes to me, when an Arab child sees an Israeli soldier, he thinks, I want to be part of the resistance. And when a Jewish child sees a soldier, he thinks, I want to be a super soldier. And thereby that soldier represents a cycle of violence that never ends. That's what he said to me. It represents a cycle of violence. And I said to him, in your spirit exactly, I said to him, that is a smart point, that is a good point, but when we see an Israeli soldier, we see the end of a cycle of violence. We've seen the end of 2,000 years of oppression. And therefore that Israeli soldier with a gun is actually the defense against the bullies. It's freedoms for all people, because we're pushing back on bad guys. So that's exactly what I said to him, and he was like, okay. He bought right into that. So I think you're absolutely right. Jewish strength is good. And I think that a lot of folks in America today have a problem with Jewish power. They just have a problem with Jewish power. They don't know how to deal with it. They're still stuck in 2,000 years of diaspora. They're not ready to transition into Jewish strength, Jewish power. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with any kind of sense of like sovereignty, organized aggression, which is the army, etc. They don't know how to deal with it. Those are beautiful fireworks.
We're not under attack yet.
Yeah.
If we were, you'd know it.
Listen, I'll finish with
That's
this.
it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Fireworks,
To
people.
the,
Fireworks.
we live in a generation. We live in a generation where the understanding that war is bad has led to diplomacy replacing life itself.
Reality.
Replacing reality, exactly. And we all know war is bad, but we have to look at history. Not every person is good. Not every country has a good leader. There are some leaders that are bad. That is the reality throughout history. In order to keep the peace, you have to be prepared to fight and defend yourself to then defeat the enemy. And we've been living in a generation where, no, diplomacy, let's let the bad guys get away with everything, just not worse. It's bad, but not worse. We'll stop. And people have to wake up. To defend you need an army. You need an army. You have an army in order to ensure that you stop bad things from happening. So whether you're Jewish and in Israel, whether you're American, whether you're French, whether you're British, you want a strong army. Don't be afraid and don't run away from having to have a strong army in order to ensure you leave a safe future to your children and grandchildren. Was it Ronald Reagan who said, we are always only one generation away from losing our freedoms? And today's progressive value system that's just replacing reality is allowing the next generation of Americans possibly not to have the freedoms that we grew up with, for those of us in America who grew up in America and our relatives and friends living there today. So understand, we need an army. Israel needs an army. It's by having an army, being as prepared, as strong as possible, we can ensure a decent and safe future, even though there'll be altercations once in a while, but that's the way to have a safe future. Be proud to defend yourself.
So 2 short additions, I'd like to add the voice of the mother, because it sounds like we all want to go to war. These people are doing what they have to do, and we're telling you this is important because we don't have a choice. Right now, this is what we have to do. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I am so grateful for people who are willing to be so brave. I am not so brave to send our son into the army now, and there's a lot of military people in my home right now, and as the mother, I just want to say this is not our first choice. We want to live in Hebron, in the land of brotherly love and together, and we want to be able to put down our guns, or at least put them on what's that called when they're not lock them, so we don't have to be on the ready. But we don't have a choice right now, and you should know this, because we're going to do what we have to do, and we're also going to stand up for the right to be peaceful and wanting to stay here in a much better way. And I am grateful to the people who do this, because you're going to bring us there. That's because it's
One more thing.
the sun is setting.
Raise your hand. Raise both hands. If you would live peacefully side, and this is important because you don't hear this on the Arab side. You don't hear it very often. And people see us maybe as right wing, especially where. Raise your hand in public live if you would live side by side with a peaceful Arab neighbor.
We already do, all of us.
We do, actually.
We do.
Yeah,
And
All
by
of
the
us
way-
live surrounded.
By the way, and I think it is an abuse, it's Orwellian with language. Today's peace activists and human rights activists, they're the ones perpetrating war and terror.
Yes.
We, the right-wing activists, are the ones that want to bring peace. We're the true peace activists. We are the peace activists, because by us standing up for our rights and defending ourselves and calling out the evil and the terror, we will bring peace quicker. And it's the human rights activists and the peace activists who are enabling terror and war to continue on.
It's been wonderful. You guys have rocked, all of you, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you.
I'm the shock
This is
on
episode 2 of the Judean Roundtable.
We're coming back next week, aren't we?
We are, we just have to say
Gedaliah?
where.
RZ team, I think.
Hey, everybody out there, let us know if you like what we're doing. If you don't, we not only want your feedback, we've got to have your feedback. Now listen very carefully. A lot of times we're facing wind. A lot of times we're facing inclement conditions. Winter hasn't even started yet. I tell people all the time, how dare you even wipe the dust off of your boots after walking in the land of Israel? If you go to church, if you go to synagogue, you should wear those specific shoes every time you walk in, because you're bringing Israel with you, and that's not a joke to me. People have died and given everything spiritually and physically for this land. Good people. Really, really good, pure people. What I'm asking you to do right now is, if you've got the $22, we're not making any profit on this. Instead, all we're doing is something so base and simple and humble as sending you the holy land of Israel that we dug ourselves from Hebron.
Yeah,
If you'd like to put this on your mantle,
You could just put some in your shoe.
And walk with it everywhere.
And you're walking in the
Isn't it
land
like
of
a
Israel. You
Kabbalistic
know, you just,
idea to eat it
good.
with something?
you can sprinkle it on your head. There's so much you can do with this dirt. You can bake it, you can shake it, you can mold it into clay.
Well, he just asked
Your
a
friends
question.
can play with
He
it.
just said, is there a Kabbalistic idea? And it's not a bad idea. Take a little bit, put it on your tongue. Why? Because when you eat the fruits and the grains and the earth of the land of Israel, your physical body becomes the land of Israel.
Without any question, everybody watching this understands the value of this land. And I have no doubt that every single person that watches every single one of us will cough up a measly $22 to support the future of our voices.
Amen.
God bless
Amen.
you all from magnificent
Shalom.
Hebron.
Shalom.
Shalom.
From
We want you here with us next time, side by side.
Shalom from the Abbas
We
and
will
the
guide
Imas.
you. We will all guide you, each and every one of us.
Not my book.
Take a group of
Thanks for showing up, the Land of Israel Network.
It has been
Ari
wild. Hope
Abramowitz
you
here.
enjoyed.
Share your thoughts.
If
Send
you-
us
I'll
an
put up
email,
the
Ari
link
at the
to the
Land of
video.
Israel.
Look at where we are.
Yishai at the Land of Israel.
Look at the beauty. Life in the Middle East. I'm just going to walk you around for a bit. If everybody doesn't mind, let me take you for a little walk, even though you've been to Hebron with me before. We've had an incredible time with incredible people. But look, I'm going to shut up for a second, which is hard for me. Just listen to the birds. Look at the beauty of where I'm standing. Tony, we love you as well. Kevin, all of you. I haven't had a chance to see my camera. But look, an everlasting light. Once again, we're bringing light. Just light. The seventh step. This was the step that the Jews were only allowed to go to when the Muslims were ruling this land. They wouldn't allow us past this point. The Jewish nation has returned to their home. V'shavu banim legevulam. I am literally as close to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Adam and Eve. This is as close as I can get to them right now. And you're with me. Right here. Look at this, written right here. Rivka, Rebecca, Sarah. These are the matriarchs that are buried here. And it may not mean everything to everyone. It may not mean anything to certain people. But understand, for thousands of years to billions of people now, this means a whole lot, to where wars are fought over it. Why do we need to continue fighting wars when the truth is as simple as what's in front of you right now? God bless you all from Hebron, from Hebron. Have a beautiful night. Thank you for joining us. and we'll see you next week.